Okay, we lit it just like a fuse, so no need to pick and choose. Welcome to 2020, where we do more than interviews. The hottest beat coming through, jumping knowledge on all of you. Get a peek at the front of you with the truth that they offer you. Yeah, hands up, we doing it for the culture. To give artists and businesses more exposure. Keeping it real and stay silent just like a boulder. It's about to go all the way down, can't get no lower. Chasing my dreams, know that they get no slower. But if I stay running, I promise they getting closer. Moreover, success my older. And if you're sleeping on me, I'm waking them up like Folgers. I told you, coming from the land with the tide roll. Well, we'll be on a whole different vibe though. We like to ride slow and keep our windows tinted so you really can't see us. Like Stevie Wonder waking up with his eyes closed. Yeah, got the kind of flow that rock the boat. On my 16s of pounds of dough. And if you figure you can hang with me on the mic, then grab some rope. Matter of fact, better grab some hope. While you at it, we keep it live, it's time to tune in. Turn up the sound on what you're using. It goes so hard, I think it's bruising. The show is 2020, no need to zoom in. Yeah.
This year, we're going to be touching on different topics, different areas, different aspects of Mobile, and I had to do this topic. Something very near and dear to my heart, something very near and dear to DeAndre, Eternity, the Divine Nine. What sparked this interest in this goes before the little Boosie incident.
Right.
Let me make that 100% clear. Of us both being of Greek members of our respective fraternities, I had to reach out to you first. A couple reasons. For those of you who don't know, I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. My counterpart here is part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And although we come from different fraternities, the aspects and the community work and the basis where we were formed all are really under the same banner, the betterment of our respective communities. The reason I want to do you first, of course, you guys are the first.
Okay.
You know, it is what it is.
Right.
So what better way to start off this series than talk about it? So if you would, with your personal experience.
Okay.
Could you just give some background, year you crossed line name if you want to give it out?
Yeah, no,
you
that's
know
cool.
what I'm saying? That's kind of intimate.
All right, so I am a fall 2004 initiate of the Throwdown Theta Delta chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to South Alabama, go Jags.
Hey.
I am Quad Club, so I'm number 4.
All right.
Of five Frozen Pharaohs of Philosophy. Shout out to Ollie Davidson, that is Odyssey. My DJ, Money Mike Wilson, he is my deuce.
Get out here.
That is
Deuce
Reason.
Club.
That is Reason. I got my man Sterling Summerall, that's Karma. Like I said, I'm 4, I'm Phenomenon. And then we had I'm so used to calling him Black. His last name is Black, Rondo Black. That's Cold Front. So that's the Fire Frozen.
Dope.
But we I got hyped for a second. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's perfectly
But
fine,
yeah, man.
bro.
I mean, but that's where I'm from. That's my chapter. Beta Omicron Lambda is the grad chapter here.
Mm-hmm.
So we just onward and upward. That's what we always say. It's always been something that I've taken to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of just where my legacy begins with Alpha. Comes far before that.
Okay.
I don't want to, overstep anything that you might want to ask.
No.
But
you know how to do this.
So yeah, of course. So in sororities, they commonly have what you call legacy members.
Right.
Fraternities not so much. But if you want to talk about legacy in terms of organization, my grandfather was an Alpha. One of my uncles is an Alpha. My grandfather was Fall of 51 at Gamma Iota, which is Hampton.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I do not want to get this wrong, but
pressure.
Yeah, it is. I think Beta Phi. Is that Xavier? Whatever collegiate chapter is that Xavier? I believe it's Beta Phi. If I get that wrong, Andre, I'm sorry. That's actually my uncle I was named after too.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Literally, we got the same name. They just put a DE on the front of mine. But he was fall of 81. So you got fall of 51, fall of 81, and then fall of 2004. And that is where that lineage lies. And just me seeing my grandfather, knowing who my grandfather was, seeing what he did for the community, seeing these gentlemen that were around him, and then to literally grow up around them, and then to get to that stage where now I'm crossing those sands, and I am literally surrounded by these same individuals. Man, it was almost like, it was just like prophecy fulfilled, if you will. Like, I know it's like, you know what I mean? It was one of the things like, we knew you'd be here. We didn't know you. We didn't know when you were coming.
Right.
But we knew you'd be here. And that's kind of how it started, man. And I've been grinding it out ever since. So
that's dope. That's dope. I say that in that aspect, and I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit. But I wanted to know. Of course, there's I don't want to say legacy, but it is in a way, because you saw what your grandfather was doing, you saw what your uncle was doing. Besides that, because every fraternity has its core principles that it's founded on. What really stuck out to you that was like, this is it for me? Because like we said, there's different fraternities that focus on different things. It's still all for the betterment of the community, but different perspectives of what they focus on.
So for me, before I really got involved in the fraternity, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't do as much research per se. Okay. Because I was more so focused on the people that I knew were members. Okay. And, you know, like I would say one of Alpha's core principles, beliefs, programs is a voteless people is a hopeless people. And that really stands out to me just because of the fact that voting is very, very important. I feel like black people don't get out enough to vote. A lot of people feel like their vote will make a change or make a difference, but you don't know unless you try. It's true. And so that, you know, that was one of the first programs after I became a member, that when it came time to be like, okay, well, we need brothers to do this, we need brothers to do this, I'm like, I want to do the voter registration drive. Like, that was my thing because it really stood out to me. Resonated. Yeah, exactly. But when talking about the things that stood out to me, it was the fact that every Wednesday, every Sunday, so my grandfather was the house bartender. Oh, snap. My grandfather was the house bartender. And I just thought it was so crazy because growing up in this house, you know, you see like the memorabilia, you see the paraphernalia, you see the paddles, you see the plaques and the life membership certificates, and it's just like, I don't know what all this is. As a kid, all I knew was my granddad had somewhere to go on Wednesdays and Sundays. And my grandmother knew that my granddad had somewhere to go on Wednesdays and Sundays. That's all I ever knew about it. And going from that and seeing these gentlemen make a difference in the lives of youth, like, you know, I was the only child at the time. I didn't need for a lot. I didn't want for a lot. I was happy with whatever. But I played park ball with kids who came from single parent households. And for my grandfather passed when I was 13. I probably started paying attention around the time I was 7 or 8. That every year they would adopt a kid from my park and find out, you know, what they needed. I'm gonna tell you how I found out. Funny story. This was for Christmas, almost like what Angel Tree is now, but they were making sure that they were giving back directly to you, to somebody that they knew, so on and so forth. So I found out, I don't remember a lot, but I remember this distinctly. I remember finding an Optimus Prime and Megatron action figure boxed in my grandfather's closet right before Christmas. And I thought it was for me. Oh, man. And I was like, this is really dope. Like, I didn't ask for this, but I like Transformers. This is going to be hot. I was a kid, 8 or 9, you know, you don't really know. So I'm just like, oh, you know, I'm being funny. I'm like, oh, I know what one of my Christmas gifts going to be. I know what my Christmas gift's going to be. And my mom was like, you do? Well, I was like, yeah, I know what granddaddy got me. She was like, what'd your granddaddy get you? I was like, man, he got me these action figures. She was like, those aren't for you. And I'm like, is she lying? And, you know, thinking they still trying to play it off. Like they don't want to ruin the surprise and nothing like that. So Christmas comes.
Oh man.
And I open up everything and I'm like, where the hell is my Megatron and Optimus Prime? And one of the kids that I played park ball with came by the house, and I'm thinking we about to go, play, whatever. And he was like, man, you'll never guess what I got for Christmas. And I was just like, yo, what's that? He's like, man, I got an Optimus Prime and a Megatron. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, my mama wasn't lying to me. But I didn't know who it was for.
Right.
And he didn't know that it came from my grandparents, or my grandfather, or the Alphas in general. He just knew that when Christmas came, Santa Claus had brought him these gifts. And it was just kind of like, oh, that's also the same time I realized Santa Claus wasn't there. But
I was going to ask.
Yeah. So that was like, that's what, killed it. But I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin it.
Of course.
But that was the first time that really made me just be like, oh, so this is what they do. Mm-hmm. This the kind of stuff that these men do. It's not just going to hang out. This isn't like a club. This is this. And, that was kind of the first thing. And then as I got older, man, I was in a service club, in a high school service club that, was black and gold. Shout out to Sigma Phi Nu. But yeah, they had, it was black and gold, and everything to me, in my mind, because I'm still a teenager, I don't really know no better. But all I know is, man, these dudes step, they wear black and gold, they do community service. Sound like some alphas to me.
Okay, I got you.
I was like, this is preparation for what I want to do.
Oh man.
And keep in mind, all I had been around was alpha stuff. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know much about Kappas or Qs or Iotas or Sigmas or any other organization. All I knew was alpha. Mm-hmm. Alpha, black and gold. That was everything I knew. And it probably wasn't until like my sophomore, junior year, as a member of the service club, and then Kappa League came back. So Kappa League was on campus. And then we had IK Psi. Okay. And so all of those, we started finding tidbits of inspirations. And if you really want to be honest, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the reason for it, but I feel like a lot of these newer service clubs are direct derivatives from those organizations.
I agree.
Kappa League was founded in, I believe, 1970, and then IK Psi was in 1973. Sigma Phi Nu were the new kids on the block. They were founded in 1996. But, I mean, now you think about, we actually had an alpha that was our advisor at LaFleur, and he made sure that we did everything, and we had, because it got to that point, we had to have advisors and all this other kind of stuff, because we're talking about 60 kids doing stuff, you know what I'm saying, men and women. It was co-ed.
Okay.
And just doing all these things or whatever. I mean, and then, it just, we had to have some type of guidance from somewhere, so it became that. And then I went on to Dillard University, and every day the Greeks did something. Every Tuesday, all the alphas would wear black suits, white shirts, black and gold ties. They'd meet at the flagpole, they'd sing the hymn, and it was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to be able to do that one day. I'm going to be able to do that one day. And it, from there, man, I literally saw an informational flyer, and it was just like, yep, bye.
Right.
I get there, I do my, go to the smoker, do my interview, and next thing I know, some months later, hey, so that's what it was, man. But I mean, it's a culmination of seeing these men do stuff like this in my community, to seeing, I remember when my grandfather died, and the funeral and everything, and like this was the first time I actually had ever seen alphas besides my grandfather and my uncle.
Oh man.
But there were probably 40 brothers in that church. They were the pallbearers. They did the hymn, they did all this stuff at the graveside, and it was just kind of like, I don't know what this is, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so going from that to so on and so forth, it just, nothing else felt right to me.
That's
like
understandable.
that's where I was at. That's what I was around all my life, and I was just like, I'm gonna do that. I feel like if I had gotten to a campus, if I had gotten to a campus and alphas weren't there, I wouldn't have did anything.
I respect that.
I wouldn't have done anything else. Like, I know people who are like, oh man, when I ain't on your, I guess how I do this. No, to me,
Gotta be that first
you
love.
gotta want it. You gotta want it, because if you don't love it, why are you doing it? Why do it? So that was me.
Respect.
So
Respect. So them seeds were planted early on, man.
very much so.
Gosh.
Very much so.
Gosh.